Philip Miller is the last man left on the whole Earth after every human being is taken out by a strange, unnamed virus. For the past year, he has been living alone on the Earth and has been searching for more people across the whole United States. He visits every single state, making announcements to cities without humans and stealing paintings and artifacts from museums. After his mission to find human beings failed, Philip decides to go back to his hometown, Tucson. As the last attempt to find someone, still, Philip writes, "Alive in Tucson," on every billboard he comes across. In Tucson, Philip goes to his worn-out house and collects every necessary thing there because he goes to a community in a more lavished part of the city. Here, he selects the biggest house and makes it his new home. The next few days in the house are spent by Philip decorating it with the famous paintings and arts which he has taken from museums worth billions of dollars. Every night before he goes to sleep, Philip makes sure he apologizes to God for masturbating so much and also deeply wishes he sees at least the face of one woman before he dies. There are still a great number of cars he can drive around. He visits the grocery store in his underwear and breaks in through the glass with a gun. Within just 1 year, Philip lost his sense of basic decency because there is no one left for him to impress. He also does everything that was never done prior to the virus, like scattering the pile of cans in the store and bringing a lot of adult films home. Philip plays racquetball with himself as a means of passing time, making use of lamps as bowling pans and crashing cars into each other. The chaos and rancor makes him feel a bit of adrenaline and helps him manage his loneliness. He starts to lose his sense of sanity after about a month, and moreover, celebrating his birthday alone brings to his memory everything he did not appreciate when life was normal. Each moment, he misses his mother, his wife, and the entire humanity in general. The scene moves to a few months later. The super mansion which Philip lived in has become a huge dumping site. It is filled with cans and plastics which he does not clean up because it does not have meaning anyway. He has not taken his bath in days and has begun living like an animal. There is no running water in the house and the toilet is filled with plastic bottles. Instead, Philip bores a hole in the springboard and uses the pool as his toilet. He also fills the kids' pool with margaritas and bathes in it while drinking from it at the same time. Then one day, Philip goes to the bar and makes face drawings on balls, giving them names and personalities. He speaks to them like he would to real humans, just to feel like he is not lonely. At night, he brings a ball named Gary to a clothing store and hits on a mannequin that he had a crush on. When her arm breaks, Philip loses his mind and decides he does not want to live anymore. He goes to a hill nearby to take his life. He bids all his ball friends farewell and promises to remember them forever. Then he gets inside his car and makes his way towards the hill at a breakneck speed. He sees smoke suddenly rising far away. He hurriedly stops his car just a few seconds before it crashes. Philip could not believe his eyes. He quickly goes in the direction of the smoke and reaches a place that is clearly occupied by a human being. Just immediately, he notices something he has been praying and begging to see for the past year. Someone has left their bra to dry in the sun. Philip takes it and smells it and immediately falls unconscious due to how overwhelmed he was. When he becomes conscious, he sees a beautiful girl holding him in her lap, and seductively, she promises to fulfill his wishes and kisses him. Philip is really enjoying the kiss when he wakes up from his sleep, realizing it was all a dream. The girl he sees is less beautiful and attractive and older than the girl he saw in his dreams. She is carrying out CPR on him to bring him back. They separate from themselves. Astonished at the sight of a human after such a long time, Philip asks where the beautiful girl is, but she tells him he should be more worried about his wet underpants instead. Philip had urinated on himself while unconscious. Not minding the situation, Philip claims that he was earlier swimming from the front side, and that is the reason his pants are wet. He begins to aggressively explain that he did not pee himself, which makes the woman panic. She pulls out a gun and points it at Philip, asking him to stay away from her. Finally, Philip admits that he peed himself and that he is embarrassed. After the two of them calm down, they introduce themselves. The girl's name is Carol. Before the virus, she used to be an analyst, and since everyone died, she has been wandering around. She says she saw the "Alive in Tucson," which Philip wrote on all the billboards he came across, and came here to see if she is the last one alive. Despite dying all along to see a woman, Philip is not really excited to see Carol. She continuously corrects his grammar, does not understand his jokes, and keeps on saying irrelevant things. After spending some time talking, they decide to drive to the grocery store. On their way, Carol complains of crossing the stop sign. Philip argues that there is no traffic, but that didn't make her change as she insists they follow the rules, or they will begin living like animals. Just to satisfy her, Philip stops at the next sign and looks to the right and to the left before crossing it. She does not stop nagging when they reach the grocery store, and Philip parks in a handicap spot. Philip explains that this handicapped person has a lot of space to park his car. This is their fifth argument for the day. As she continued her insistence about Philip parking somewhere else, Philip runs the car straight into the grocery store. After that, she goes to check out his house and is disgusted by the way he lives. In his house are two swimming pools, one is filled with feces and the other with garbage. Carol goes on to accuse him of stealing the paintings, but he argues that they did not belong to anyone anymore. By the end of the house tour, Philip asks her to go back to her campsite, and by the next morning, he was woken up by Carol cleaning his house. She asks him to get gardening and cleaning supplies from the store because they have to start living like human beings. At night, Philip goes to the bar to complain to his ball friends about Carol. Despite just knowing her for a day, Philip feels like they are a couple who desperately need to get a divorce. By the next morning, things get worse as she moves into the house next door. Philip tries to stop her, but Carol, being her adamant and stubborn self, couldn't be resisted. She asks him if he is ashamed of being seen naked, and in response to this, Philip pulls down his pants. Carol addresses the elephant in the room, bringing up the topic of reproduction. She believes they are the chosen ones to replenish the earth. Philip says that even if she is the last woman left on Earth, which in this case is true, he won't sleep with her. The next scene shows him using his outdoor toilet. Carol approaches him, asking him to look for a way to get running water into the house. That way, they can grow tomatoes and other fruits. She tries to bribe him with fresh tomatoes when he refuses, but that doesn't work. She should actually know better than bribing a guy who shits off a diving board. He breaks into her garden, however, when it gets dark and eats up all of her vegetables. Carol knocks on his door the next morning and finds him covered in leftover tomatoes. Despite that, Philip still claimed he wasn't the one who stole them. He also noticed that Carol had hurt her leg while trying to transfer water from a manhole to her house. A few months later, Carol gives up on trying to live like a human and decides to live like Philip. To know what happened to them next, watch the second part of this video in this channel.